have faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll love this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin. And we'd like to welcome you guys to a special podcast episode dedicated to the Netflix TUDUM event that happened this year, 2023, on June 17th, 2023, to be more specific. We're going to be deep diving into the exciting announcements and updates that were revealed during this showcase. So I figured it'd be a little fun for us to kind of like mix up some stuff, maybe do like a non-review episode here or there, like every like month or so, to kind of like mix things up, so we don't get too complacent and we don't get too, into just our regular review routine. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. Again, that is Optix with an X, or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, we are now on day 2 of the 3-day weekend. What have you been up to this weekend?
A lot of moving people. I had a double move yesterday, which was not very fun, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just moved into my new place a little bit over a month ago. It was not fun. I still have boxes where all of my like DVDs and Blu-rays are in because I don't have a bookshelf right now. So I had to pick one up. I thought I found one, but then it came damaged through Amazon. So I sent it back and I'm just going to keep looking around. But yeah, moving's the worst thing in the world. I absolutely hate it. I live on the 4th floor of a building. So it's like, that was definitely not fun.
Did you have an elevator, though?
We did have an elevator, but we are at the very end. Like, we are the first apartment of our floor. So when you get off our elevator, you have to walk all the way down one hallway stretch and then make a left and walk all the way down to the other side of the hallway. I basically have to wrap myself around the building in order to get to my apartment.
Yeah, that's no fun. My sister was also 4th floor, but everything she had fit in the elevator, so that definitely made it easy.
Yeah, it sucks because it's like, I mean, yeah, we have a freight elevator, but it's literally on the other side of the building from where our apartment is. So I was like, well, this is going to be fun. We had to get like dollies and stuff for certain things, but luckily I had some friends help me out. I had everything pretty much moved or packed up, like the smaller stuff. So we just really had to get the bigger stuff in, but you only got to do it twice, depending on if you want to stay longer or not. But yeah, moving's terrible. I absolutely hate it. It's no fun for anyone, but you get a good workout in. So that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah. And you get free food afterwards.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is true. I did treat my friends to some meal time for sure. I was like, hey, we're gonna go to I forgot where we went, but I treated them to some lunch afterwards, which is always nice and rewarding. But yeah, I'm glad you had a fun day of moving.
But also Friday night kind of relates to this Netflix coverage. I went over to Matt's house and we watched Extraction.
Oh my gosh.
He had never seen it. He was like, should I watch the first one or just watch the second one? I was like, you might as well watch the first one. So then we watched that.
Devin, no, oh my gosh, no.
And he's a fan. He's a fan too.
All you had to do was show him a simple YouTube clip of the first movie, it's like we're just gonna watch the second one because the first one is so bad.
Oh, we definitely have the second one planned out, but we watched Extraction, and then we also watched The Raid Redemption, which is another great action movie.
Yeah, the Raid movies are really good. That's like top tier action for sure. But for context, everyone out there, Devin has been like sending me all of these like
Extraction gang, rise up.
He's been sending me all these like positive raving reviews of Extraction 2.
I've only seen rave reviews. I haven't even searched for it. They just pop up on my timeline.
I've been burned once. I don't know if I can go through that again. Tyler Rake is such an odd name for a character.
I love that name. John Wick, Tyler Rake. We need the team up.
Oh, man. Maybe I'll watch it. I got nothing going on today, even though it is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Happy Father's Day to Tyler Rake.
But as we have mentioned before, we're going to be breaking down the highlights of the Netflix TUDUM events. I guess you can say TUDUM. I'm just going to say TUDUM to make it a little bit easier for everyone. But yeah, we're going to get into pretty much, we're just going to open up the floor actually with our opening remarks and event overview. Devin he saw the announcements, but he didn't necessarily watch the live stream, but he's been keeping up with the Joneses essentially. But I'll just kind of open up the floor really quick for my opening remarks and kind of just initial reactions to the event overall and kind of just grading it off the top. And then we can kind of get into the movie announcements and then the TV unveiling announcements that they had as well. So I watched this event with Leo over from the Geekly Goods YouTube channel and Mike Thomas from Collider / the Amateur Otaku podcast. Kind of all ganged up yesterday, excuse me. We got together yesterday and watched it on Leo's YouTube channel over at Geekly Goods. You can definitely check that out. And I'll leave a description in the episode notes down below for that live stream. But overall, this was the first live event for Netflix's TUDUM, because within the past years, it's been online only, which is fine. But I will say, first and foremost, I think this one was a little bit shorter than what came in previous years for the events. It didn't feel as dragged out as it has in previous years, but I thought it was kind of odd that they had it in Brazil for like the first like in-person Netflix type thing. Like you would think it would be somewhere in the States, but like that's neither here or there. It is what it is. I will say the crowd was going wild like the entire time. I honestly don't know if like maybe the Brazil audience was way more tamed than having it here in the States, but they were going crazy, man. Like Gal Gadot came out I'm telling you, when Gal came out, Henry Cavill came out, Chris Hemsworth, people were going insane, especially for Gal. Like she was trying to get through like her like teleprompter and people were just cheering, like cutting her off. It was truly amazing. But overall, when it comes to the grade of this event, I would probably give it like a solid C+, probably like, on our grading scale, I would give it like, I'd give it like maybe like a 75 out of 100 because there were things that we were looking for, obviously, that they touched on, including the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender teaser. We got some cast photos and stuff. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but we didn't necessarily get a release date, but we got a release window. But overall, I thought it was a good balance of what everyone was looking forward to. It wasn't just for, the scoopers for, all these like major outlets and whatnot. What I enjoyed about the event was that there was a little bit something for everyone. And people seem to, like it a lot. But I mean, as a fan, from what I was looking for, it was a little bit lukewarm, but it is what it is. But overall, I thought it was a fun event. I hope that they are able to like do another live stream event, but it was weird because they were announcing things live in Brazil, but then the US Netflix account was like just pumping it out early. So like we got to see a lot of the things prior, like we kept like checking Twitter and whatnot, because like the trailers kept dropping on Twitter before they were like dropping at the Brazil event. So I was like kind of confused, but
it sounds like the NFL draft, like
yeah,
NBA draft too. Picks just get announced and then you gotta see them on the TV.
Yeah, it was weird because I felt bad because everyone, you know, who's there for like, you know, for all these different shows and movies, they're like, oh, like here's like the first, like, you know, you guys are gonna be able to see before anyone else, and then like it dropped on Twitter like 20 minutes earlier. I was like,
oh, that's really early.
Yeah, I don't know if they really knew. Everyone had their phones out, you know, they're filming the whole thing, but I enjoyed the energy of what was brought to the event, and it was definitely more refined than in recent years, because previous years, my gosh, it was like a 4-hour event, it felt like. This one felt around maybe, I think around 3-ish hours. In previous years, I feel like it was like pushing like 4 hours of just literally you can just, you know, have it on all day and just like background noise and like do something else while it's like, you know, you're waiting for stuff to come up. But that's just, you know, my opening remarks and overview of the event. But did you have anything you wanted to mention just from, you know, a quick little, you know, anything get you excited or whatnot? But I know we're going to get into like the announcements here in a second. But yeah, what are your thoughts of the event?
Yeah, I was just curious to hear what your thoughts were. It sounds like it was just kind of, it was a decent event, nothing crazy.
Nothing super duper like, oh my gosh, you know.
Didn't you mention that the TUDUM sound started from House of Cards or something like that?
Yeah, I could have sworn that it did.
So I never knew the origin.
I read that somewhere. It was from like a reliable news like outlet, but it was like about a year or two ago. But I would have to look it up again to confirm. But if anyone out there knows, like, you know, tweet at us at Film Optix on Twitter, you know, email us, let us know, because I could have sworn I read that somewhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like, yeah. But
apparently I just did a quick Google search and it's an urban legend that it started from House of Cards. So that is not the case. Apparently it was just created just to be the Netflix intro.
Gotcha. Okay, well, there we go. Theory squash. So I apologize for spreading misinformation. So I guess that was just a little bit of a hoax or urban legend, as Devin has said. So, wow, interesting. Okay, well, there we go. Theory solved, mystery solved altogether. But we're going to get into we're going to split this into two parts when it comes to this little event thing. Again, we're just going to be covering the highlights of things that happened, because there were a lot of projects announced, and it's like, it was a little bit overload, but we're going to split this into two segments. We're going to have the movie announcements, and then of course, Netflix's bread and butter, television. So we're just going to get straight into the blockbuster movie announcements, starting with Heart of Stone, which is a new movie coming to Netflix starring Miss Gal Gadot. And I gotta say, it actually looks pretty awesome. It's a spy thriller type situation, like pretty much. And like, it looks pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. But have you had a chance to check out the trailer?
I have not watched the trailer actually, but it seems like an interesting name, kind of a corny play on words. Isn't her name like Rebecca Stone or something? Yeah.
Her name was Rebecca Stone. So it's like, I mean, I'm watching, obviously this is an audio podcast, but when it comes to the trailer, we watched it yesterday. It looks like a really well-made trailer. I know that Netflix movies can be hit or miss sometimes, but Gal has also worked with Netflix in the past. And this is actually from the producers of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and from the producers of Old Guard, So we know we're kind of in for a treat when it comes at least for the action sequences. And I'm wondering if if Netflix is really just leaning into the action genre or like the spy, genre when it comes to these movies. Because we have movies, of course, like Extraction, and this seems like the like the spy thriller version of that. But it looks very interesting. And Gal always brings her A game in like any role that she ever does. So I think it looks pretty sweet. So the next announcement we have here is the Rebel Moon movie teaser trailer-esque thing. It was more so of I guess you could say like a behind the scenes type situation. And it actually looks pretty cool. Like, it's just a teaser. Zack Snyder's coming back he's made like this deal with Netflix. And it's like this upcoming sci-fi epic. And I think it's supposed to drop sometime in December. So I'm expecting that we'll probably see like a official trailer probably by like August or maybe September all together. But this world was like heavily inspired by Akira Kurosawa, Star Wars, of course. And yeah, it's just that large scale sci-fi adventure. Everything's sci-fi nowadays. So it's like, and apparently, Devin, there is a tie-in RPG video game in the works. I don't know how.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. But this film will be released with 2 different cuts, one for adults and one for all ages. So I'm definitely going to watch both to see how, everything differs, because I always find that it's interesting to kind of, it's like watching the movie for the first time twice, but it looks pretty cool. But we'll see how long the movie is. I really hope it's not super, super long. But given from the teaser behind the scenes featurette that we got, they're putting a lot of work into it, as much as most projects do. But it looks pretty cool. But we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. And then, of course, Devin's favorite, probably his favorite announcement that got announced. This was like a soft announcement. This wasn't necessarily at TUDUM altogether, but they did kind of pump up Extraction 2, because the first person to come out on stage during the entire event was Chris Hemsworth. And, of course, he was talking about Extraction 2. And they were talking about the possibility of hopefully like making it like a third movie, but it looks like Extraction 3 has been greenlit.
Oh yeah.
We're
getting to the point where there's going to be more Extraction movies than there are seasons of most Netflix shows. Like,
yeah.
We're crossing that threshold, and it feels great.
Okay, how long is the second movie? Because I could watch it today. I could hop off here as soon as we're done recording and just watch it and get it over with. But I don't know if I should be a part of that hype.
I actually haven't even watched it yet. So.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, Extraction 3 got greenlit. I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer. It's just the first movie was just so bad for me. I'm like, I don't even want to touch the second one, but maybe I'll give it a fair shake. I'm hoping that it's good because if this many people are talking about how good it is, it's just, I don't know.
Getting that word of mouth.
Netflix, when it comes to their movies, man, they're not always the best. Like, they have some really good ones, but maybe Extraction 2 will actually be a part of that list. Perhaps I'll watch it today. It's early in the morning. I love watching movies early in the morning. It's a lot of fun. But that's pretty much it for the movie announcements. There wasn't too much on the film side. At least from the highlights of what we're covering here today. There's definitely a few more things out there that you can definitely Google and check for the smaller announcements, I guess you could say. But let's move over to the television side, unveiling they have a lot of stuff for TV. Just first and foremost, going on, the Squid Game season 2 cast announcement. They didn't show a trailer or anything. It was kind of like there was a video, but it was like a cast announcement video, if that makes any sense. So Devin and I actually covered the first season way back when it came out. I believe Devin actually watched it before I did. Did you watch the Korean or the English dub?
I did the English dub, as awkward and weird as it was.
Yeah, I did too as well. But yeah, they were kind of just going through the casting announcements for that, and everyone's very excited for that as well. So I don't know if it necessarily got a release date as of yet. I don't believe so. They just announced Squid Game 2, so we don't know when it's coming. And
I saw that they also announced the Squid Game reality show, or not announced, but like showed some of the Squid Game reality show, which is an interesting choice of content to make, considering what Squid Game is and how you're going to make a reality show out of that.
Right. Yeah. I was just about to get to that. Yeah. It's the Squid Game challenge teaser, making the real life version of Squid Game. I don't know. Yeah. That's kind of weird. I mean, obviously no one's going to be fighting to the death about it, but
we'll see. You never know.
I mean, would you watch? I think everyone's going to watch this, man, especially if this is on Netflix. Like 100, it's like reality TV, because they also announced Love Is Blind season 5, but every single like country has like their own version of Love Is Blind as well. Because I think Brazil has
Netflix just kills it when it comes to reality shows.
Yeah, well, because it's really, when it comes to reality shows, that's kind of perfect for what Netflix is, because it's the binging model type situation. But it's like, these are shows, at least the live or the reality shows, where it's like fast food.
Yeah, there's nothing more bingeable than reality shows. Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I think that's what Netflix does very well. I haven't really dived into that, but it is what it is. But we're gonna go on to our next announcement here. Something I'm very excited about. It seems that Avatar: The Last Airbender obviously it's my favorite television show like ever, and even though nothing will ever top the original series, which I think you can actually now find like the Blu-ray set for like $20. It's actually pretty cheap. But Netflix unveiled, finally we get some news outside of the casting news. We have like actual, like some footage, like photos and whatnot of, the cast and their and their in character all together. And so we got a small little teaser trailer as well. No actual footage, but it's a pretty awesome trailer. It's only 54 seconds long, but the cast photos look amazing. Like, I am so excited for this, but it's been a long time coming, because we get small little tidbits of like news for this show here and there. We thought it was coming out this year, but it has a release window of 2024. The fonts and everything looks like amazing for this show, but we also know we have other Avatar news going on over at Avatar Studios, which is through Paramount, all that through Nickelodeon. Not only are we getting, the live action bit through Netflix, but the original creators of Avatar are, they kind of broke off from this project altogether. I don't know if it was necessarily bad blood or just like disagreements, but we're also getting a lot of animated Avatar feature films, like starting next year, like 2024, 25, and 26, and or 27 altogether. So I'm very excited, but the set photos look great. The cast came out and talked a little bit about, what to expect, and they seem very excited to bring this to live action. I know we've had live action before, Devin, but I'm not sure if you saw that movie.
I did not see the Shyamalan classic.
It is. I never felt more betrayed. There are two movies that I've never felt more like betrayed about, and one of them is the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar: The Last Airbender, but there's also the Dragon Ball Evolution live action.
I actually did
movie.
watch that one. That was super goofy.
It was so bad. I was like, both of these projects should like be reference points or blueprints of what not to do when it comes to adapting animation into live action, which is difficult to do altogether. You know, we've been seeing that with comic book movies for a very long time, and some of them work, some of them don't. So we'll just have to wait and see, but it looks great and the casting looks fantastic. So I'm very excited to see how they how they tackle this, but I'm more excited about the Avatar Studios stuff that's happening over at Paramount. But yeah, we got that. And next up on the list, we have a little bit of Stranger Things 5 casting news. This is weird though, because we know that Linda Hamilton will be joining the cast for season 5. That was the casting news. But I'm not sure if you know this, Devin, but a lot of the scoopers on Twitter and just social media altogether, because this was like leaked like earlier in the week. And so like what these Twitter accounts and like these, scooper like social media accounts will do, they get this leaked information first and foremost. And then they will post about it on social media saying, oh, we heard a scoop, or, rumor has it that Linda Hamilton will be joining the cast of Stranger Things 5. It's not necessarily a rumor. It's confirmed to be true, but they get the information ahead of time, like through whoever it may be. So they pass it off as a rumor on their side. And then when it actually comes to be, when Netflix announces that, they're like, oh, our sources were correct. But it was true the whole time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it sounds like the cat and mouse game that usually gets played.
Yeah, it's weird stuff. But I was talking to Mike about it the other day, and that's what he was telling me. And I was like, it's diabolical, but like it's also like, you're passing off as rumor as in like, oh, it may or may not happen. But when it does, that's how, they pass it off as rumor in order to like gain traction, like, followers and whatnot. It's like, oh, but, so-and-so account, they've been, they get all these rumors and they end up being true. It's like, well, it was already true to begin with. They're just releasing it ahead of time and they're passing it off as a rumor for like social media engagement and whatnot. So to make themselves look good, which is why most of the accounts I don't really follow, like the ones that like, I'm not going to like, name drop anyone or anything like that. But there's a lot of them out there that, it comes across like my timeline on like Instagram, especially Twitter, things of that nature. And it's like, well, I don't follow them. And it's like, I don't know. They're all doing the same thing anyway. So it's not like they're doing anything different, set apart from each other. They're just all pushing out the same bits of rumors. But Devin, I wanted to get your thoughts about Linda Hamilton joining season 5 of Stranger Things. And we technically did get the logo. It's just 5 instead of 4. It hasn't really changed. But what are your thoughts about this? And who do you think she'll be playing?
Yeah, she had to get a classic 90s icon, of course, for what time period is season 5 going to be in? Like late 80s?
I don't know. I'm assuming they're keeping it in with the 80s. We know that clearly there's going to be a time jump to fit with, I think it's still going to be in the 80s because it's pretty much been throughout this entire time. And if they jump from the 80s to 90s, would be awesome. It would be pretty cool, but I feel like it would be out of place with the rest of the season as a whole. But I don't know. Maybe they'll do like a little 5 years later type thing because these kids they're not kids anymore. That's for sure. But Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
I wonder
But I'm
if she'll be
excited.
playing as Sarah Connor from Terminator.
It's like, oh my gosh, Sarah Connor.
She's come
like,
back in time to stop Will Byers from destroying the world.
I think it's definitely going to be Will for sure. 100%. So next up, we have The Witcher season 3. It's supposed to be hitting in August, or not August, sometime this year. They showed like a 3-minute fight sequence altogether for season 3. Of course, this is the last season that. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was way off. I do apologize. I just looked this up because I wasn't sure what the what the release date is. So I guess Netflix is doing this thing where they are splitting seasons into 2 parts, because this is the final season that Henry Cavill will be playing Geralt of Rivia, and he is stepping down. For season 4 moving forward, it will be Liam Hemsworth, which is odd. But I know there was a lot of disagreement between Henry Cavill and the studio. So Henry came out on stage with co-stars Anya Chalotra, Freya Allen, and Joey Bately, and they showed like a 3-minute action clip of, what's to come for season 3. And as I said before, I kind of botched the announcement. I thought this was later in the year. Volume 1 of season 3, The Witcher, is coming out June 29th. Volume 2 is coming out July 27th. So we're almost like 10 days away from The Witcher 3, Volume 1. But
this seems like one of the announcements that'll go up on Twitter, and then all replies will be like, "We won't be watching."
Yeah, something like that. But it's weird now how it seems, from what we saw, or from what from what was shown at TUDUM. You can obviously go back and watch just this specific video itself, since they chopped the stuff up anyway. The action looks really great. The fight choreography. The CGI, I don't know if this is a finished product, but I'm assuming it's almost near finished, considering how Volume 1 is dropping in like 10, 11 days. From the clip that they showed us, I don't know if this is from Volume 1 or Volume 2. I think it's kind of weird that Netflix is starting to, split their seasons up into 2 parts, because I think that really hurts themselves when it comes to the Emmys, especially this year. I don't know if Stranger Things season 4, like the entirety, will be eligible. I think it's only for specific nominations and for specific categories. So I don't know if they will be able to be nominated for like best drama series, because they split everything up into 2 parts instead of, like dropping everything all at once. And Volume 1 of Stranger Things season 4 dropped before the Emmy cutoff, but the last 2 episodes dropped after. So I don't really know how all that works, but I don't know. What are your thoughts about like Netflix doing this new trend of essentially extending their shows for longer periods of time?
Yeah, it seems to be the trend for a lot of TV and movie nowadays, having the part 1 and part 2. I don't know. I guess it just depends. Like, obviously, Spider-Verse, they killed it with their part 1, so it just depends on how they wrap things up.
Yeah, I guess it's different for movies, because it's like, even though like, Across the Spider-Verse is its own story, and then there's like obviously a cliffhanger, whether, like we didn't know that was going to be like a trilogy altogether, but, like with any trilogy, there's always a cliffhanger at the end of like, the second movie going to the third, depending on what the story is. But yeah, but from what I've seen for The Witcher season 3, to get a little bit back on track, I apologize for ranting there for a second, but like I said, the fight choreography looks really, really good. But I don't know how they're going to, I don't know how they're going to fare with Liam Hemsworth going forward, because I really hope they let this cook a little bit longer for the special effects, because, I mean, it looks very unfinished, and the effects look too cartoony for this being a live action situation. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, June 29th is when Volume 1 comes out. So I'll be watching that for sure. And as we wind down here, we have our Wednesday season 2 trailer, or teaser, I should say. They didn't really show anything from season 2. They kind of just went through a bunch of like rumors that people have been like, talking about online. But they did say that a new Addams Family member will be coming by. So if we don't know who that is, it could be Cousin It. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that is not going to be out for a while because of the writers' strike altogether. But what is your thoughts on just season 2, and what would you like to see from season 2 for Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm just happy that we're getting season 2, and I think Jenna Ortega said she's producing this one, and she definitely has a lot of say in what goes on in this series, which I think is really cool. I think I definitely gained some respect for Tim Burton, where you kind of let your young actress take some control over what basically is her character. Let her have some control in what story they tell. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am too. And we've seen this time again with Zendaya being a executive producer or producer on Euphoria. So, because she wants full control of that character. And I think that's very smart. I mean, and we've also seen it with Millie Bobby Brown, her being a producer on both. I believe she was a producer on the first Enola Holmes and the second Enola Holmes as well, because, she wants, at least if anything, she wants her character to, go through a journey a specific way. And I think Jenna Ortega doing this it's great, because it just doesn't really make too much sense to, like, as in, the first season was really good, but I was like, okay, it's really good. I really enjoy it, but I don't get the whole love triangle thing. I don't feel like Wednesday would ever be in a love triangle, because it's very out of character for her. And Jenna Ortega said that season 2 is supposed to have a lot more horror elements. So I'm very, very excited for
That's good to hear.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited for that. But I'm also excited for this next bit. We're almost done here, I promise y'all. It's been crazy. But this is the second to last thing we're going to be talking about here today. So there is a new series coming out. It is a sci-fi epic, another sci-fi epic, Devin. We're getting so many sci-fi epics nowadays. It really is the new zombies. Like when we were growing up, we had like, oh my gosh, Left 4 Dead, Dead Island, The Last of Us. There's a lot of zombies. The Walking Dead. Like, it seems that sci-fi is the new trends when it comes to Hollywood. So this is a new sci-fi epic series, and it is being overseen by the showrunners of HBO's Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. So they were really pushing that during this trailer. I'm not going to lie. It looks really, really good. But I think they made a little bit of a misstep when they said from the creators of Game of Thrones. It should have said from the showrunners that brought you Game of Thrones, because by saying from the creators of Game of Thrones, that's alluding to George R.R. Martin. So I think they should have changed that to like from the people that brought you HBO's Game of Thrones. But it looks pretty awesome. I'm very excited for it. I know people aren't very warm towards Benioff and D.B. Weiss about, the ending of Game of Thrones, which I don't really think is that bad, to be completely honest. But it looks pretty awesome. Definitely check out the trailer when you can, Devin. It looks like it has like a little bit of everything, and I'm very excited for it. But for the last thing that we're going to be talking about, Devin, you've seen You, like the show You, right?
Yes, I have been watching You.
You.
Oh, you've been watching
sound?
me? Been watching
God.
You.
So we got a season 5 trailer. And I've never seen it at all. And it looks like season 5. I don't really have too much to say about it, but Devin, if you want to comment on it or on any way or share your excitement, definitely feel free to. It looks like the 5th season will be its last season. So, yeah. I mean, did you have anything you wanted to comment on this the series all overall for anyone out there listening who maybe have not seen the series before and are thinking about it since, this is the 5th trailer or 5th season, I should say.
Yeah, overall, I really like seasons 1 through 3. I didn't love season 4 as much as other people did. I think you would actually love it because it was set in like London and there's a lot of British people and he had a British love interest. So I think you would really like season 4. But yeah, I'm looking forward to season 5. I'm glad that they're able to have a final season. Like they're not going to be just canceled one day. They can wrap up the series.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of these shows, especially since the writer's strike, they're like, oh crap, we should just probably end everything. Especially with we didn't get any Umbrella Academy season 4. Nothing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say no Umbrella Academy and no Sandman.
I know, dude. I'm so man, like those are 2 really good shows. And I'm just like, I really wish we would have saw something. Hopefully they're not dead in the water. We know that season 4 of Umbrella Academy is coming, but since the writer's strike, a lot of things have been put on hold, so we don't really know. I actually did want to bring attention to one more thing that I actually forgot to mention this altogether, and that is the One Piece live action reveal. For anyone out there who knows One Piece, it's like the world's longest running anime manga that's been turned into an anime and now is being adapted into live action. It is legit like the biggest manga on the planet and one of the biggest shows like in anime ever. It's been running for a very long time, has over like 600 episodes altogether. But I have started One Piece a while ago. I got like maybe 20, 23 episodes in. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It's just, I think I got distracted with something else. But we got an official teaser trailer for One Piece, the live action, or the live action adaptation. And I was a bit weary because of everything that happened with Cowboy Bebop. That should have worked 100%. But unfortunately, they canceled that show after 1 season. I don't know how they're going to tackle One Piece altogether because it is such a long story and it's still an ongoing story in the manga and in the anime. But from what I saw, it looks really good for it being a live action adaptation. But we'll have to wait and see how people are going to respond to this because people do not take this stuff lightly whatsoever, as we saw with Cowboy Bebop, which is one of my favorite animes ever. But I'm hoping they get it right this time because they've done a lot of live action adaptations, and this is maybe like their 3rd or 4th. Heck, it might even be their 5th altogether, but it is coming out on August 31st. So that's right around the corner as well. But Devin, have you seen any of One Piece at all? I know that you watched the original Cowboy Bebop, right?
Yeah, but I've not seen One Piece. I think it's just interesting that Netflix is continuing to invest in these animated adaptations, considering how poorly the other ones have gone. And no one else is seeming to want to try these either. So it's like they're just kind of the only ones just throwing darts at the dartboard, hoping something sticks, despite many past failures.
Yeah, that's the weird thing that I don't understand. Because I feel if One Piece does not work, I mean, obviously they also have Avatar: The Last Airbender, but that's not necessarily, it's not technically like Japanese anime, but it is still adapting a cartoon into live action. Nowadays, I mean, I get the whole live action thing. I get the whole live action appeal. You know, they want to bring these characters to life. But I mean, I can even argue that like these characters have already been brought to life through animation, because that is the roots of the show altogether. Even with comic books, you know, its origin was comics. You know, it was hand-drawn animation. And obviously that is why, you know, the Spider-Verse movies work so well. It's because it pays a lot of homage to that, and it just feels real within itself. But I think if Avatar, and especially if One Piece is not received well, they need to just stop with the whole live action adaptations from anime to live action altogether, because, you know, there's going to get to a point where, you know, they're trying out all these new different stories, and then it's just going to be an oversaturated market of just failed projects. And honestly, I wouldn't even, if One Piece and Avatar don't hit the way that they hope that it does, I think they just need to call it quits. Because it's like, I mean, you're making these into live action, but it's like, I can just go watch the original. Like, I didn't really need a live action of Cowboy Bebop. I checked it out just to see how everything was going to play out. But it's like, I can just buy the Blu-ray or watch it on Crunchyroll, or I believe it's even on Netflix right now, like the original Cowboy Bebop. And I think a few episodes, I'm not sure how many seasons, of One Piece are on Netflix as well. So it's like, if I want to experience these stories, I would just watch the anime. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the whole, like, do you think they should call it quits after, like, let's say One Piece doesn't do well?
I think even more so if Avatar doesn't do well, because like that's so beloved by so many people. And if that flops, it's like,
yeah,
that damaged M. Night Shyamalan for a while. So I imagine it could do some damage to Netflix.
That is very true. I mean, I still love M. Night as a director. You know, he's hit or miss on a lot of his projects, but yeah, that was not it. And like, I'm hoping out of both of these, I'm hoping Avatar does well. Not saying obviously One Piece is, you can honestly argue that One Piece is just as beloved, because like I said, it is the biggest manga like in the world. It is the biggest like anime show in the world. It's huge. But for Avatar, I don't want to wake up one day and it's like, man, well, now we have two failed live action Avatar, The Last Airbender, like attempts, like one for television, obviously, which is going to be the Netflix version, and then the movie situation that happened with M. Night. Because it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if their Hollywood's thought process is, oh, well, let's make like a TV series into the movie, if that's the issue, or hey, let's make the TV series into another series, but for live action. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do not know. But those are pretty much all of the major events that happened, unless you had something else you wanted to mention, Devin, that kind of caught your eye before we close out here.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think we've done a pretty good job. Under an hour, which isn't bad. Around 50, 52 minutes. That ain't too bad. But I know there's been a lot of talking from us today, but thank you for bearing with us. You know, we want to do more, or at least cover more live events like this in the future. Like I said, to mix things up so we can, you know, we're workshopping a lot of things for the show to, you know, kind of just make things fun instead of it just being a review like every single episode for all of our listeners out there. So, you know, you got to experiment, see what works, see what doesn't work, and kind of just go from there. But that concludes today's episode. If you like what you heard on today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice, and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X to stay in the know. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Make sure to spread the love of the Film Optix podcast wherever you go. Now, let's take a sneak peek of what's coming up next on the show. So, coming up next, we have our Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny review. And I think are we going to be covering Oppenheimer or Barbie or Barbenheimer or both? I don't know.
Well, I'm definitely getting Oppenheimer early, so that makes it easier to watch Barbie when that comes out.
Yeah. I got a invite for Oppenheimer as well. So, as well as we're going to be covering Mission Impossible 7. I don't know if I'm going to watch the other movies or not. I don't know. I'm not sure if I need to or if I should, because I didn't do it for Indiana Jones. I only watched the first Indiana Jones prior, but we'll see. But we're definitely going to be covering Mission Impossible 7, as well as Barbie and Oppenheimer, and of course the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and also what you can listen to on the podcast right now. You can listen to our Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse spoiler-free review, as well as our spoiler-free review of The Flash and Elemental and Transformers Rise of the Beasts. We do have another episode dropping for Secret Invasion, episode 1 and 2, but I'm not sure if that's going to be up at the time we release this. It really just depends. But definitely, if it's out there, obviously go ahead and listen to it. If not, wait a few days and it'll probably definitely pop up. And with all that said, thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Make sure to stay connected to us by following us on Twitter and Instagram. Again, that's at Film Optix, Optix with an X. And that pretty much does it. We made it through another Netflix TUDUM event. I'm Christian, and that was Devin signing off. And remember, life is like a movie, so go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.